Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Is that where we're at? Wednesday. It's lunchtime live. I'm a little bummed. I'm gonna be honest. My fancy light is not working, and so that's kind of a bummer. But you get me in all my glory. I am actually gonna get our guest on with us. Danielle is gonna be here for an interview. Last week was super fun with our first interview, and we're gonna continue the series moving forward with Danielle. Hey Danielle.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you?
Good, good, good. I was just getting everything set up and started. My husband's like running in the back and everything. The light's not working. He's trying to fix my light for me. He's super sweet.
Oh,
Um, it's okay. It's all right. Oh, you got it. All right, cool. So I have like an assistant back here doing my thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it on that side. Thank you. I want to thank. He's so cute running around that. All right, good. Now it's a little nicer. Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for hopping on. So if you're here, say hi. Hey, Angie. I see Caitlin's on. We have Amanda. Give us a hi. Give us a little emoji below so we know. And I want to let you guys know during our interview, if you have any questions that you want to get answered based on anything we're talking about, pop them below and we'll make sure that we roll back to them, okay? I want to first start with introducing our guest. So I met Danielle maybe like 2 weeks ago. I think it was in a blogging group that we're in. Super awesome plug. If you guys don't follow twinsmommy.com, that's her group. She runs it. Gives really great information, and there's a ton of really awesome mom bloggers in there, my people. And we hit it off, and we actually were able to do like a little pre-chat before this interview, and I realized we're soul sisters. So it was really fun getting to know her more. But Danielle is a mom of two. She's a 2 and a 4-year-old, and she runs her blog and is really focusing on, I call it like momming with purpose, momming with intention. And she talks a lot about just being close with your family, setting your goals, and we specifically connected on meal planning and doing things on a budget. And y'all know me, I'm super I'm cheap, right? And I like to save money. And so make life easier for me and for the moms I talk with, I like to share. And so, Danielle, before I talk too much, I know that everybody would love to hear from you. Tell us a little bit about you and your family.
Yeah. Well, I am a wife and mother of two from Michigan. And I have a husband who is a firefighter here around Michigan State. And I have two young children. They are 4 and 2, and definitely keep us on our toes. It's a very fun age that we are at right now. And so I work part-time and run my blog business. And it's just a very fun time that we are in, a very fun season of our lives. And so for me, like the biggest thing that we are going through right now is just kind of trying to settle in to the busyness and to enjoy the busyness that is going on right now. So that kind of brought me to where I am right now. I wanted to find something that was for me, that allowed me to kind of express myself and share with others, different ways to be able to, help their families and kind of just be more aware of, who they are and, what they can do together as a family to be more connected. So that's where I'm
That's
at.
awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like you were kind of thrown into blogging because you wanted this outlet to connect and reach other moms. So what's something that drives you to continue? Because we know, and I know I've just started blogging, right? It's a lot of things that you have to do, right? There's like a lot of work you have to put in behind the scenes that I didn't realize, right? So what still drives you to, be this, like, this mompreneur and work on your blog still?
I love it. I mean, I've gotten to know so many people through it because, everybody, I get so much positive feedback from everybody who says that they've tried a recipe or they've tried these activities or that they've been able to save money by trying just like a simple thing that I've put out there. And it's just so rewarding to be able to take something that our family is doing and see that other people have tried it and that they've really enjoyed it. And for us, it's really held me accountable to be able to make positive changes in our family and see that, I'm putting it out there that we're doing it and see that other people are being affected positively by it too. And it's just very rewarding for us, you know, to see that, you know, they're loving those changes and that they're making those changes too, and that it's really helping their family too. So.
Oh, I love that. All right. Well, I'm going to narrow down at the end. We're going to talk about saving money on meal planning. I know that's what a lot of moms want to hear, but I actually want to talk a little bit more first. We talked last night about how you're doing this year of intentional living. And I was wondering if you could speak to all the moms out there about like why you chose that and what that really looks like. Especially like I know our kids are, you know, in similar age gaps, and this season you say like it's just go, 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 and it's super big. Yeah, crazy. So tell us about why you picked that and what's driving you with that this year.
I really felt like I was just missing out on a lot of like the simple everyday moments because I was so busy saying yes to things that were just time consuming and hectic. And I just kind of had to like sit back for a minute and realize that it was okay to say no, and that it was okay to like make more intentional decisions that were, you know, truly what was best for our family. So this year it's kind of just more along the lines of making decisions that match better with our values and our beliefs, and just really going with what's truly best for our family, and really in all aspects of everyday living. So, I mean, we're talking, you know, with our faith and our finances, and even just scheduling, like being the ability to say no and have that be okay is something that we are working on this year. And it's okay to make those adjustments, because ultimately the only people that it's going to affect are the people that are within the walls of your home, and it's going to bring a sense of peace. I mean, this season of life is so short, like this hectic, busy time, but it's also so rewarding to like be able to like fully take advantage of like this little bit of time that we get when they're so little. So that's really like why we're focusing so hard this year on just enjoying these small moments and step back on everything else.
Oh, I love that, because I'm a reformed people pleaser. I mean, I still like work at it, right? So then, okay, can you give us like an actionable, like saying no to things is really hard. Like it's really, really hard to do, especially I actually just had an opportunity come up and I was like, yes, right away. Like I didn't even stop to think. And then later I'm like, I shouldn't have said yes to that. So what do you do when you have people in your life who like are so used to you saying yes to everything, and you're in a space where you're like saying no to something so you can connect with your priorities?
Yeah. For an example, like this month, we're doing more of like a no spend January. And, you know, usually we would say, you know, yes to doing most things that were asked of us. And we really took a step back and decided to not spend. I mean, we did take advantage and go out on one date night this month, because I think it's still important to go and spend time together with your spouse and still have that connecting time. And so we did make an exception to do that. We made arrangements within our budget to be able to go out that night and have a cash out night. And you know, it's just something that you make arrangements for that. But we would just tell people, you know, we were given opportunities to go on vacation for a weekend, and we just said, you know, this is a no spend month for us, and we're not going to be able to do that. And it's just one of those things that if you lay out like your values ahead of time, and if they're your friends or, you know, your family, and they're going to understand kind of, you know, what you are really like, what your end goal is, and they're going to have to accept that. And if they truly care about you, they're going to be okay with that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take that advice, because it's that season where you have a lot of things you have to get done, and you just have to say no, or you're going to make yourself crazy trying to please everybody else, and nothing will line up with what you want and what's important for you guys. Okay, so tell us a little bit about the no spend month, because I love that. I do it once a quarter. I do a no spend week, which like is definitely not as hardcore. So I want to hear about why you guys started to do that. And any tips you can give the moms watching to implement.
I was a huge impulse buyer. My husband is a huge saver, and it was a big struggle for us because I I was an impulse buyer, and I really took the time last year to kind of lock that in. And, I find that around the holidays, it's harder, and we did a cash Christmas last year and did the want, need, wear, read. And it made it so much easier for me to stay intact and make sure that I was very, very good about my spending. And with that, it just kind of rolled into, well, we did so great with Christmas. Let's go into a no spend January and just kind of refresh, because by doing a whole month, you kind of reestablish your wants versus your needs. And it really helps you like reestablish what is truly a need and what's truly something you want. Because I think people easily misconstrue the two, and they make exceptions a lot of times on things that they think they need are actually things that you want. You want that coffee every morning, but you don't need to go to Big B or to Starbucks to get that coffee every morning. Yeah. You can make it at home and save yourself that $5 a day. It's simple things like that. So,
well, talk to me then about grocery shopping, because I feel like that's always the biggest challenge when I tell people to try, not spending, because we know that groceries and food and eating out, those sort of things, is where people spend most of their money. So, what do you think holds people back the most from trying to even stick to a budget when it comes to their food?
I think the hardest thing is that they don't want to take the time to plan. Meal planning is tough, and I think that they rather just think about the day ahead and like what they want to eat in that moment. Whereas if they took the time to plan out a week at a time, even, that they would see that they would be saving much more money. We like to try to plan every 2 weeks at a time. And we try to go grocery shopping really twice a month for like actual grocery trips. I mean, that doesn't really count having to run in for like milk and bread, because we do have young kids and those are just staple items that need to be refreshed every week. But it does really save you if you come up with a meal plan and you stick to it. Now, that does include eating leftovers, because a lot of people go grocery shopping, but they don't really eat the leftovers, and then they throw away half of what they've spent because they waste so much food. So that's a huge part of meal planning.
And okay, so you have, toddlers too. So help us out. Like, what advice can you give about saving money when it comes to if they've hit a picky eating stage or they want something else? Like my daughter is like such a food waster lately. Like she'll just shove it in her mouth and then spit it back in my hand. And I'm like, what are you doing? So what advice can you give for like making meals or planning out meals and things don't actually go the way they're supposed to?
We give like very few options when it comes to breakfast and lunch. The kids pretty much stick to their same routine. For breakfast, they pretty much have the same cereal every single day. And it really helps us because they like Honey Nut Cheerios. So every morning they pretty much have Honey Nut Cheerios, or like on occasion we'll make pancakes and we'll have enough to have leftovers. And then for lunch, they pretty much stick to like a sandwich and then a fruit and a veggie or something along those lines. We pretty much stick to whole foods and not processed foods for the most part. I mean, they'll get like a nice, snack or like their own little dessert or something, but we pretty much stick to whole foods for them. As far as dinners, we pretty much eat the same thing. I mean, if we know that there is something that we want to eat for dinner that night that they are not going to enjoy, we make sure that a previous night that we make enough of something that they like that we can heat it up for them and they can have leftovers, so that we're not making a second meal and we're not wasting any food.
Yeah, it's like pick that battle with them. Like, you want it, but you also know you're gonna fight with them. So you said something that made me think. You mentioned, eating the whole foods. We mostly eat whole foods, and I can hear a lot of people right now watching be like, "Yeah, right. So expensive to eat healthy."
No.
And I want to hear because I know my thoughts on it, but I want to hear your thoughts. Like, people say it all the time. It's so expensive to be healthy. Like, what do you think they mean, or like what are ways and tips that they can save money and eat healthy at the same time?
I think it's sticking to a few things and just getting a few things. We don't go crazy with 5 fruits and 5 veggies. We stick to 2 fruits. We buy bananas and we buy apples. That's it. That's all we have to choose from for that 2-week period. And that's not a lot of money. You know, that's probably $6 worth of produce for fruit. You know, we buy our veggies. Usually we either can green beans or we buy like frozen broccoli and frozen spinach because that's usually cheaper and we're not wasting it because it's already in the freezer. We can make enough for that meal and call it good with that. We do eat meat in our family, so we buy it in bulk, and it's just freezer beef, and we buy chicken and we freeze that as well. So for us, it's stuff that we find it at a good deal, and we make sure that, you know, we can, afford what we have. So yeah.
Those are good tips, and I think the simplicity is key. I want to scroll back because there's a couple comments about this, and then I have some questions that I wanted to say, but Belinda says eating out is the downfall, and I think that. So, I mean, do you want to speak on like people spending money on eating out and like your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't go out to eat very often. I mean, I would say once every couple months, because it's so expensive, and then you need to tip well. I mean, that is their job, and you have to expect to tip well. And so going into that, you're going to spend, especially even 2 people, probably $50. And if you decide to bring your children, then you're looking at $70, $75. It's not always the most enjoyable meal if you have young children and you're all going out trying to enjoy dinner. And you try, it's really not. So, us, it's a lot calmer and more enjoyable if we can just cook a meal together as a family at home, and then we have the leftovers, and we're saving tons of money by doing it. We could probably cook a whole meal for 6 to 8 people for under $10, compared to $70 at a crowded restaurant. So,
and I think that's the thing when it comes to the meal planning part, right? I eat out a lot, and it was a lot because I wasn't planned or prepared, and it would come to dinner time and I wouldn't know what to get. And so I think y'all, if you're watching, like the key is like having at least a roundabout idea of what you're gonna make helps so much, because then you're less likely to be like, let's just go get something, and at the same time, like, you just save so much money. Like, unless I have a gift card, like, we're not going anywhere, right? So I think it's important, though, like you were saying about going on a date with your husband. I think that's super, super key, though, at the same time. So planning those things so they fit into the budget and not being something extra. I have a couple more comments. Caitlin says she loves this. He used to throw away food a lot, and now he eat leftovers, and it helps. I know so many people who don't eat leftovers, and maybe you have a family like that, so you can work around that. But when we're like on our budget, I'm like, this is what we're eating. Like, I don't waste anything. And so I think that's important. Caitlin says, I found eating healthy is cheaper than the junk food, especially when you meal plan. And, just to add in about that, a lot of people, I think, sometimes think that those prepackaged types of like frozen dinners and things, like, they consider them healthy foods just because they have a label on them, but they're so much more expensive. And when you're saying about the whole foods, I think you're setting your kids up for good habits in spending and in eating at the same time. All right. So I want to talk real quick about perfectionism as a mom, because I want to link the moms watching. I want to link you guys. I'm going to put it in the comments into an article. Oh my God, my husband just commented. He said, I get it, date night. Yes. Take it out.
There you go.
There we go. Well, maybe you keep watching, husband, about this one. So perfectionism. I am a perfectionist, like, straight up. We were talking about this yesterday, but I'm going to link the article in a second in the comments for everybody to check out. But I want to have you talk, especially to the moms out there who are struggling with this, and like your thoughts on like this mom perfection.
Yes. I mean, it's a big thing, I think, that moms struggle with, is always comparing themselves to other moms. I mean, I still like, it's always going to be like a daily struggle that you have, even if you're trying really hard. It's just something that you really need to try to remove yourself from. One thing that I've done is this year, like gearing up for the new year, I decluttered some of my social media. So I either removed myself or unfollowed myself from a lot of like the groups that made me feel inadequate or made me feel like I was tempted to be like somebody else. I don't like comparing myself to other moms. And I just felt like I was comparing myself to a lot of these other moms, different groups that I was in. So I just removed myself completely from those situations. And that has helped a lot. You know, and back to the impulse buying situation, you know, being in a lot of Facebook mom groups, you see a lot of people that show different things that they buy and for their kids and stuff. And, you know, it can be very hard to see that and not want the same thing for your kid. And, you know, if you don't get that thing, you could still be thinking about it even if you don't want it, you know, or you could get it and be like, why did I buy this? I don't even want this for my child. So just removing myself from those groups was huge, and allowed me to just kind of free up some of the space in my head to not be overwhelmed with just nonsense, just stuff I didn't need. And that was huge for me to be able to just kind of not compare myself to other people and focus on my family that, you know, is within the walls of my home.